Hello, pandemic people. Welcome to another MentorMate Explains video. My name is Jay Miller. I head up business development for MentorMate, and I do a lot of presentations. I have for many years, probably decades. And I used to do a lot of presenting in boardrooms, conference rooms, and now I am in my attic. You're in your bedroom, your kitchen, your dining room, and we are all presenting. We're communicating with each other. We're using these different video channels, and there's some do's and don'ts, some tips and tricks, some things that are different related to presenting from home in these times in which we live versus when you're formally presenting to a group of people. So we're going to talk about that. We'll go through it somewhat quickly. These are designed to be brief videos. If you have any questions or want to talk about this or want to talk about my amazing record collection, because you probably want to talk about that, reach out to me. I'm lonely. I've been in my attic for 150 days. Let's talk. Anyway, there are three things that you can really control in terms of your presentation. To keep it real simple, right? There is you. There's who you are, what you do, how you present yourself, how you set the room, etc. There is the audience, what you know about them, what they expect, how you're controlling the pacing. And then lastly, the story. Are you presenting visuals? Probably. How are you doing that? What story are you telling along with that? So we're going to cover those three things. So I've got 10 tips that we'll go through. So let's start. So first up, there's you, right? I talked a little bit about this earlier, but this is the thing that we can control the most. But people, we need to try harder. You can comb your hair. You can not sit in front of a bright window so you look like a scary ghost. So some of the things there that I'm getting to is controlling the shot, right? Think about what you're going to show. Did I trade out some record covers today? I did. I did that because I'm bored and you're bored. So little Easter eggs like that are interesting. It becomes a trigger to talk about nothing, right? Because small talk can be awkward, but if you have a thing to talk about, it's more interesting. So I've seen other people do this too, have some interesting things there. Think about lighting. Like I said, don't sit in front of a bright window. If you can have some ambient light, try to do that too. Maybe use an external microphone if people are struggling to hear you. All of those things are meaningful and they communicate. So maybe you don't want to communicate any of that. Maybe you want to be really austere. That is fine too. Choose what you want to show or not show, but do it with purpose. Don't do it accidentally. I think that's the most important part. Next up, slow down. This is not an easy thing for me to do. I talk pretty fast, especially after the morning coffee, but speaking through a screen to someone else, it can be hard to hear. They may want to ask a question, but the way that the audio, the inputs and the output works, if you're talking, it can be hard for them to get a word in edgewise. So taking a break is important, especially if, like for MentorMate, our teams and our clients are global. So many of the people I'm talking to, English is their second or third language, which is so embarrassing to me. I barely speak English, but they are processing, right? So slowing down is really, really important. And it lets things be a little bit sticky. A quick story, I went and watched a friend of mine present. She was a keynote speaker, and it was a big, broad stage, and she started talking on one end of the stage, and then she paused, and she walked all the way to the other end of the stage, and then started talking again. And she did that a number of times. It was really confident. It was really powerful. And I asked her about it today, and she said, "Oh my God, you noticed that the screens were out of sync, and I had to keep walking back and forth because I couldn't keep track of my presentation." So it was totally an accident, and she handled it like a boss. So if you pause with confidence, it can be awkward if you do it like that. But if you do it on purpose, it helps people kind of let things soak in. Another tip, and this is challenging, is to try to be authentic. Lately I've seen a lot of people presenting where it's clear that they memorized every possible word they were going to say, and they're going to say every word they memorized, right? They get on track, and so it's hard to be nimble in that way, and it's also hard to connect as a human being when somebody is so rote. What I like to do is practice and then let go. So I'll mix up how I present. I try to do it differently every time. I'll ask questions in the very beginning just to try to change what I think the objective is, so that I'm more fresh and in the moment and more conversational. Not an easy thing to do, certainly, but if you can, it just puts people at ease. Being anxious or nervous, people can just feel it. It's not easy to do, certainly, but we are in spaces that we're hopefully comfortable in, so maybe that can give us a little more space and confidence to just be ourselves, and especially in times like this, have permission to be yourself. It's so important right now. So those are a few tips about you. Another really important component, right, is them. Your ability to be empathetic, to be a good listener, and to anticipate what their needs are. We all want to feel special, right? If I give the exact same presentation to the same audience or different audiences, but never change my content, people can tell. It just sounds like it's out of the can, and it's kind of like you don't care about them. You don't care enough to really think about their specific needs. So a one-size-fits-all presentation, maybe you're comfortable with that, but it doesn't make other people feel comfortable. They want a tailored suit, right? They want something that fits them like a glove. So it's real important. A major component of that is just simply do your homework. Confirm who's going to be in the meeting and make sure that you are speaking to the entire audience, not just the highest title, but everyone on the call. They can be influencers, they can be decision makers, they can just be more passive, but they're forming an opinion of you. And if you make sure to call everyone out as best that you can, they'll remember that. They'll think, well, you're attentive and you care, and that goes a long way. Simple thing. Another piece of this is guiding your audience. If you can tell them what you're going to talk about, like I said, I'm going to talk about 10 things. I'd like to think this will only take 5 minutes. I'm going to guess it's going to take a lot closer to 10 minutes because I'm a little chatty this morning. But try to quantify what you're going to talk about and tell them when you're going to say it, and also let them know when you want questions. Control that. Control the pacing, and they'll follow suit. Next up is being clear about your objectives. Hey, here's what I want to talk about today. Here's what I hope to get out of this conversation. And then importantly, ask them, does that match what you think we're going to talk about today? Is that what you want to talk about today? That's oftentimes a way in the beginning I find to kind of pivot the presentation, and then you end up talking about maybe something you didn't expect to, but it's the right thing, and it turns into a conversation rather than a one-way dialogue. Lastly, we'll talk about just presentations. There's a lot of tips. Everyone tells you how you should or shouldn't do this. Guy Kawasaki has a whole methodology of 10 slides, no more than 20 minutes, and the point size should be 30, I think, 10, 20, 30. Guy Kawasaki, you're awesome, but that's silly. This should be whatever you're comfortable with. Sometimes I show 60 slides in 30 minutes. Sometimes I show 5 slides in 30 minutes. It depends on the story that I'm telling and how I need to tell it. So there's not a right or wrong way to do this, other than that you should do the best thing for you to facilitate telling a story. One of the biggest mistakes I see, especially with engineers, I work with a lot of engineers, is putting a giant screen of text up. Everybody should know this by now. Don't do it, please. You put 100 words on a screen and then you read the 100 words. Your audience is either trying to read or they're trying to listen. Most likely they're in between those two things, which means they've tuned out. They're bored. You lost them. So put a few words up there and explain, put an image up there, but find a way to make sure you're controlling where intention is applied. Otherwise, you're not creating memory. If you're not creating memory, you are forgetful. That's bad. Next up is coordinate the handoffs. So act like you've been through a pandemic before. Think about who's going to talk and when they're going to talk. Who's sharing screen, who's controlling. If you're bumbling and fumbling through that, it creates some technical difficulties. It makes people uneasy. It adds anxiety, and it makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. So just be really simple. Minimize the handoffs. Decide who's going to talk and when. Think through in advance when a certain question's going to come up. Hey, design, you're going to handle this, or development, you're going to handle that. Account management, you get this. So organize. It makes you look like a coordinated team, which is what everybody is looking for. Lastly, related to this is own the content. Use a branded presentation and don't pull things you found from Google and throw it out there as though it's your own. It's a waste of everyone's time. Try to make everything bespoke. Try to get credit for everything. And as much as you can, be distinctive and be insightful, because you're talking about your company, you're talking about your brand. So, well, I'm getting to 10 minutes. The last thing, if you can, in these times in which we live, try to have fun. There's some things I like to do to just mix things up. I've been stuck in my attic, like I said, so I'll share you a secret for me. I like to have things around that nobody else knows about, and I'll show you one of them. No one else sees this, but yeah, right there. I have a disco ball in my attic. I didn't have it there 2 weeks ago, but I can buy anything on Amazon, and so I did, because it makes me laugh. When I'm doing a formal presentation, I know it's there. Nobody else knows it there, but these are some of the small little things that, all of them, I guess, can help make presenting easier and make getting through this a little bit easier. So thanks, everybody. Bye.